I, 45F, am in a difficult situation with my nephew, 25M, and my family, and I need some perspective, as I simply feel terrible about this whole situation. Last year, my nephew lost his job and couldn't afford to stay with his friends anymore. Having helped raise him and having such a deep connection, I decided to help him out. I had recently bought a house over the summer to rent out, so I let him stay there until he could get back on his feet. I also gave him $3,000 to help with living expenses and such. A few months later, he landed a job at a major tech firm, and during Thanksgiving, he bragged that his starting salary was almost as much as I've been making after 10 years in my current job. I was naturally very enthused for him and extremely proud. I decided after the holidays it was time for him to move on and get a place and start paying rent. As spring rolled around, I urged him to find another place to live or start paying me. I also told him we could forget the 3,000 and just move on. He refused, getting really upset and saying it was convenient for him to stay since it was close to his new job and that he was not in a financial situation to be paying rent right now. Which confused me, as I previously stated he was bragging about his salary. I then offered to let him rent the property for a little more than the mortgage, which was less than what I planned to charge other tenants. He refused and has barely spoken to me since. I really struggled, but my family insisted that I give him a 30-day notice to vacate the property, which I had notarized. He ignored it. I then started to talk about eviction. We got into another argument when I got to repainting the house with notice because he had scuffed up the walls. He kicked over my paint cans, ruining the carpet. I had no choice but to file for eviction. It was all simply too straining. I had some valuables and furniture I had stored in the crawl space. I'd been too afraid to move due to the tension. I found that he sold my retro games and consoles, 2 paintings, my dining set, and a few other things through a camera on my property. I called the police to file a report. He came home during this completely out of his mind. They found ketamine in his system and paraphernalia, and he is now facing jail time for the possession, but also DUI. My family is now furious with me, blaming me for ruining his life. His parents won't talk to me, and they claim I knew he was high when I called the police when he hadn't even come home yet. They said I should have called them before the police to settle it. I feel like I did everything I could to help him until he crossed too many lines. I just am so stressed and guilt-ridden.